Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're going to look at Marvel Superheroes Secret World Battle Worlds #1. Why am I looking at this? Well, full disclosure, I was talking with Crom of Razor Sharp Balloons YouTube channel. Crom the creator, not Crom the destroyer. And he asked me if I picked this up and what did I think about it. And then he started telling me about it, and then I arrogantly corrected him, thinking that it was another comic that came out like 10, 15 years ago. But it was brand new, it just came out. So when my buddy Mark came to town, we did our comic book run, meaning we went to all the local comic book stores. And I bought these as because I walked into a store, we spent like 2 hours, and then I just bought something to walk out with. I was like, this must be what Crom was talking about. So I finally read it. So let's talk about this. So this is the 40th anniversary. They're doing some sort of event for Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, which I loved. I did a video on it. I talked about it a lot as a kid. I loved it. And now I can't believe it's 40 years. So let's look at this cover. I'm digging this cover. Also, I'll let you know that I quit Marvel cold turkey in 2015. So I just stopped. 1 month I was getting $400 a month in comic books. The next month I was getting like $78 a month in comic books. I quit Marvel. I quit DC. So I don't really get too many Marvel comics. This is literally the newest Marvel comic that I've purchased. All right, so let's check it out. Let's look at this. There is no indicia on this first page. So we'll talk about where are the credits. I want to do the credits before we do anything else. All right, well, here's the indicia. Let you know that it's January 2024. So this is brand new. This is brand spanking new. All right. So open it up, and the first thing I like this. It's it's old fashioned. Old fashioned for me. It's regular comic book art. Nothing crazy, nothing nothing to write home about. But it's good, feel good comic book art. I just like it. I like the colors. I love when they do this with the Spider-Man. He's just jumping around, and you see the after images, and it's just Spider-Man fighting like frost giants. At first I thought it was Tempest, the Guardian that works with Immortus, but it's not. And then we have these captions down here, and boom, we got the titles page. I don't like this. To me, this is like a waste of a page, but what it does is it brings us up to speed. And if you're oldie like me, you'll remember that the Secret Wars comic, a 12-issue series, I think was it Mattel or Hasbro? I forget. Mattel or Hasbro came to Marvel and said, we want to make a series of toys. Why don't you make a comic book to promote it? And then they came up with, okay, let's make this Secret Wars. It was everything a little kid comic book collector wanted. All the main superheroes, they go to a planet and they fight all the main bad guys, and then they made up the Beyonder that was like observing to see what was better, good or evil. It was excellent. It was everything comic books should be. It was so much fun. The problem is it was so successful that Marvel just started to shoehorn events every couple of months down our throats, and it just ruined comics. So good idea, and then bitter fruit. But the toys came with these stupid shields with like little holograms that made no sense. It was just like the perfect example of like an executive. What do those kids want? I know, we'll put some holographs in it with shields. Like it was stupid. Matter of fact, like when I got my Secret War stuff, I threw all the shields and holograms away. I just wanted the action figures, but stupid me. So they're bringing these back, and it was just like, oh, nostalgia berries, nostalgia. I feel good now, and that's exactly. In a nutshell, that's what this series is. Nostalgia berries. I feel good. So we got Tom DeFalco. I didn't mean to say not my favorite editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, but a solid writer. He did a terrible run on the Fantastic Four, and then he did an excellent run on all the M2 lines, like Spider-Girl and, the Future Avengers or whatever. I really do like that stuff. Didn't like his Fantastic Four run. Pat Olive, artist, and John Kelly's colorist. Pat Olive, what can I say? Just a classic, standard Marvel superhero artist. I dig him. He's just like competent and classic. So here we got Spider-Man just jumping around. Spider-Man jumping around. And they're bringing us up to speed. I have to say, it just felt so good to see classic comic book art with the classic comic book characters. Oh my God, did that feel good. We got, Nightcrawler Bamfin over here. We got the Thing over here. Spider-Man in the classic blue, there's the John Byrne era Fantastic Four costumes. I still like the classic Kirby and Lee, but what do you want me to do? And this, look at the Kang over here, just so great, and they're battling, and then they're referencing that Doctor Doom. The toy made him look more robotic. He steals the power of the Beyonder, which is a whole nother ball of wax that bothers me. And then after that fight, Spider-Man goes in to get some food. And all this shown in the Marvel Secret Wars 1984. So somewhere in there's an actual caption that tells you this entire 4-issue series takes place like in between two panels of I forget which issue 6, I think, or issue 7. I forget what it is. So now I don't know if this is modern Marvel continuity. Again, I dipped out of Marvel in 2015, but apparently there's more than one Beyonder, and they're calling our Beyonder, the Beyonder that we're familiar with, deficient. He's like a deficient Beyonder. And now they're trying to see what the deficient, so other Beyonders are inserting themselves into here to find out what the inefficient Beyonder, or deficient Beyonder, saw in this. So now they're doing like side experiments. So that's all this comic is I guess what your boy Zach would call a shaggy dog story. It doesn't matter. It's a closed loop. If here's a line, you could go like this, and then if you pull the string tight, that little bubble would go off, and it doesn't matter to the main story. But that's what this is. But so it's all the classic Marvel characters just fighting, focusing on Spider-Man in the Venom symbiote costume. And am I talking about the story? No, because the story doesn't matter. So he's going through all of these like Beyonder dimension stuff. I do love this page though. I love the design of these aliens with these leaf arms, these vegetative aliens, and of course classic Spider-Man. He pulls his arm fighting those giants. So now his arm is out of its socket. And resurrection of Magneto. Death means nothing. Death, resurrection of your Paperboy. Who cares? No stakes. Death means nothing. And here he's fighting all these aliens, and the Human Torch shows up. Classic Spider-Man Human Torch team up. The banter. Tom DeFalco was there when the old magic was written, so he understands these characters. He writes them well, and just fighting and nonsense, and classic superhero daring do. They see an old city, and my favorite. Do you guys, are you with me? Do you have like your guy, like you're very protective of, you're like jealous when other people talk about him? But that's the Absorbing Man for me. The Absorbing Man is my guy. I don't know what it is. I like Crusher Creel. Something about him I've always just liked. And like whenever he shows up in comics, I'm like very like, ooh, they better do my guy right. You know what I mean? But that's how I feel with Crusher Creel. And it's Tom DeFalco, so they're doing him right. And then they got the Hobgoblin. Now, the next issue, they're bringing Electro, the Constrictor, Baron Zemo. Why? Because they made like a third wave of Marvel Secret Wars figures, and I think they released them in like South America, and they didn't really make it into the States, and they cost a pretty premium because I was collecting all of them at the time. And it was like Iceman, Falcon, Hobgoblin, Electro, Absorbing Man, Baron Zemo. And they didn't make it into the general population of the figures because they weren't in the Secret Wars comic book. So this is just a neat way of explaining why those toys were made, because they were on this little side quest. The side quest didn't really matter. You know, like I said, it's just, hey, remember the Secret Wars? Member berries, feel good, nostalgia. There you go. So here's the next cover. I'm not going to show the rest of these. Here's the next cover. And again, they're competent nostalgia bait comics. Now, what is this? Marvel is floundering. Let's make no bones about it. Marvel's hurting. So they're dipping into the old classic guys and throwing out nostalgia berries. Boom, member berry. Boom, nostalgia berry. Boom, feel good berry. And that's all this is. It was neat. The only thing is $5. So $9, $13, $18. This was $18. Was this worth $18? Not really. Nothing. And nothing could happen. That was just it. Nothing could happen because it's inserted in between two panels in a comic that came out 40 years ago. So you knew there was no stakes. You knew there was no consequences. And even if the Absorbing Man's face exploded, Beyonders were involved. So you know that it was just going to be the flip of the switch, you know, the magic Deus Ex Machina machine, and everything would be reset. So it, on one hand, I liked it because it was just a nice throwback to characters that I loved, to an era that I loved, you know, with art and writing that I loved. On the second hand, who cares? You know, it was not important. It didn't mean anything. And, you know, that's a nutshell of what comic books have become. Mainstream comics, not independent comics, but mainstream comics. They're not important and they don't mean anything. So there you go. I guess I'll end on that somber note. But Crom, I did this for you because I arrogantly corrected you and thinking I knew everything when I know nothing. Me and Jon Snow have the same thing in common. So thanks a lot. I'll see you later with another video.